Hi, everyone. Welcome to our holiday webinar series. I'm really happy to be with you today. My name is Brandon Ramos, and I'm the COO at Switcher. And today I am joined by Marc Estes, who is the CEO of VisitorReach. Marc, I'm so glad you're here. I'm really excited to have a conversation with you today. As we jump in here, I'd love to hear a little bit more about you and about VisitorReach, how you all got started, just to kick us off.
Yeah, well, first and foremost, thanks for allowing me to be a part of this great opportunity to be with all the Switcher partners and family. And first and foremost, I'm a regular guy. Love doing family. Married, man of one wife. That's really encouraging. Been married happily 46 years, 4 kids, 4 grandkids, and loving doing this whole thing about VisitorReach and what we're doing here. But as I think about, the conversation today, Brandon, and really what VisitorReach is really all about, maybe it's good to just hear a little bit about us before we dive into the topic. I was a pastor for 40 years, and so I really never had it in my mind that I was going to be a CEO of a tech company, right? And we really didn't start what we're doing right now because we wanted to build a tech company. It started as a response to the tectonic shifts that were happening in culture, right? We recognized the ground underneath us were shifting, ever since the pandemic in a significant way, and culture was changing and technology was changing even faster. And it was after the pandemic where there was quite a few of us pastors, we got together and we're just trying to figure out how to pick up all the pieces after the pandemic and George Floyd and 2020 elections, and watching society today, was fragmented in a million different directions. And so when the dust finally settled, we kind of lifted our eyes and asked ourselves that question, how could we help churches reach people again? We are part of a movement of churches, and it was a big question being asked. And it was very clear that the church wasn't positioned to seize this divine moment. I think we're living on the crest of one of the greatest awakenings in history. And with that being said, we just got together, a bunch of pastors and leaders and marketplace people, and sat down and said, hey, let's take a look at what we know our 100 plus years of combined ministry experience, and brought some smart people to the table. And out of that came VisitorReach. And, a lot of what we've learned over the last couple years really is going to be a great, part of our conversation today of, how do we reach people during this holiday season? I just read a statistic, 160 million people will walk through the door of a church. 46% of society will walk through a church during this Christmas season, which really makes this conversation really appropriate today.
Yeah, it really does. And man, that is just, I don't know, so exciting. And when I hear that story about VisitorReach, it just seems like a really a natural growth into a space that really needs it, right? When you think about a mission-driven company, that is exciting to hear. So you mentioned the holiday season, and I think that's where we're jumping in today to talk a little bit about. As a church and a CEO of a tech company that mission is churches, I'm sure you're all in full planning mode as we are. What's something you're looking forward to this season? Anything you're excited about when you're thinking about the holiday season upon us?
Well, let's just get away from technology for a second. And I'm really excited to eat a bunch of fudge.
Yeah, I think I'm right there with you. But my weakness is Christmas cookies.
Yeah, my wife makes the best fudge cookies. So I'm going to eat a bunch of fudge, hang out with kids and grandkids, and I'm really excited about helping churches reach thousands of people. I think this is going to be a great Christmas for us. And just filming a couple more videos today, doing a thing called 6 Ultimate Outreach Strategies for Local Churches. So I can't wait to just get churches mobilized to reach people. So
amazing.
It's a good season.
Indeed. So, I think we're here to talk about this Christmas church reach. It doesn't have to stop at the physical doors. We want to talk a little bit about how to extend that message online and keep the momentum going after the holidays. And so when I think about what we'll cover today, I'm hoping we can really spend a little time digging into what you mentioned here at the top, like how the culture has shifted and what that means for ministry today. I definitely want to dive into some of the tools that VisitorReach and Switcher Studio, how that works together to help meet people where they are. And I'm hoping we'll close out a bit on some practical ways to engage and follow up, especially around live streams. That's where Switcher is really focused, and it's where I think we help churches extend their message. So, excellent. So to get us started, let's set the stage with some context. I think church leaders, as you mentioned, we're facing massive cultural shifts right now. And I think it can be tough for many churches to help connect people. Marc, you and I have had some conversation before this, and I really have appreciated your views here. I'm hoping you can describe a bit, what are the cultural changes that you're seeing today, what you hear from other churches, and how's that impacting the way churches are trying to reach people in today's landscape?
That's a great question, Brandon. As I mentioned, I'm a pastor. And so really, our approach is, trying to talk to pastors and leaders from pastors and leaders. And I do believe that, in the natural realm, we're living in one of the most volatile times in the modern history, right? Secondary to that, if we just kind of, as Paul said, get our minds focused on things above, I believe that we're living in the most opportunistic times. But it's important for us, it said about the men of Issachar, right, that they understood the times and seasons in which they lived. And really, there's these four significant tectonic shifts that have happened that are worthy of our conversation today. Every pastor should be grabbing a hold of these. First, the good news is that people are more open to spiritual things than we've seen in years, maybe since the Jesus People movement of the 70s, right? Yeah. 74% of people surveyed, this is a Barna research, said that they're more open to spiritual things prior to the pandemic. That isn't necessarily just the gospel. That's tarot cards and Ouija boards and Hinduism. It's important to understand that people are just open because of what's happening in culture. And you can feel the hunger and the connection. We're watching things post Charlie Kirk, looking at what's happening on campuses and what's happening in colleges and what's happening in society. I just led a white magic Calvinist, Catholic, Satanist Jew to Christ. And so, people are just really open right now. So,
yeah, very open, right?
But here's the other thing, Brandon, is we're excited about them being open, but it's important to understand people are less likely than ever to walk through the door of a church. Prior to the pandemic, that used to be 3 to 5 connect points, and now that's 12 to 15 connect points. And there's 2/3 of society. American Psychiatry Association said that 2/3 of society is more anxious now than they were this time last year. And the holidays only exacerbate that reality, right? And so it's important to understand, even though they're open, they're not necessarily walking through the door of a church. We'll talk about the gospel come in a moment, but and here's the important part. So if we say, hey, they're more open than ever and they're more reluctant than ever, well, where are those people hanging out? This is what makes what you and I do beautiful. They're living in digital spaces, right?
Yeah.
Average person spending 7.25 hours a day in front of digital voices. And that's not just a computer, an iPad, but that's maps and voice recognition technology and ChatGPT and AI, obviously streaming. They're all taking center stage. And the good news about that, Brandon, is we can reach people where they're at 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, right? And, America alone is going to send 5.5 billion texts today. So people are just living in digital spaces. And so, but here's the tension. The fourth thing is this, and this is really what I think is a great springboard for our conversation, is that most churches today just aren't getting a handle on digital spaces. We have a wide open door. I call it the new Roman road. And they're just not in that space, right? And that's why we did VisitorReach. It's why you're doing Switcher. And it's important for us to figure out how are we going to help churches in this divine moment with these culture shifts to get in front of them while they're open to the gospel.
That makes so much sense, and I think as you lay that out, it's as I've talked with some churches, I see some that are really ready to embrace those digital spaces. I have others who I hear they're a little uncomfortable to get started, and I think you make a really compelling case for the fact that, listen, folks, this is where they are spending their time. This is where their attention is going. And you can either join that conversation or not. I think it's really important for there to be a church presence in those digital spaces. I think
Absolutely.
that's
Absolutely.
where that message really needs to
Yeah.
come across. So, as you make those points, we set the stage. We're starting to see this shift. We see an opportunity. Can you talk a little bit about how you see this being? How are churches hearing this? What did they start to do? How do they make use of this information as they consider maybe trying some new things in these digital spaces? What should that mean for them in your perspective?
Yeah. Again, as I talk to hundreds of churches a month, like you guys do, it still feels as if the digital arena is a supplemental idea at
Yes, yes, I think that's very fair.
at worst, right? And so when I use that term, the new Roman road, it Paul understood the times in which he lived, and he knew that it was that road, those roads of commerce, is what brought the gospel to where people were at, right? Where business
Mhm.
was at, and where travel was at. And so it's the same thing today. If we're recognizing that 7.25 hours a day, where people are spending their time, we've got to stop and say, how do we get in front of those people?
Yeah.
We recognize 85% of churches are plateaued and declining. We'll talk about that, but it's just simply a matter of reality is that we've got to get up with the times to get where people are at. Our
Mhm.
responsibility is to go to them, right? Not necessarily just hope that they come, right? And so I think it's really important for us to understand that our invitational attractional model, like, hey, we just are going to plan a service. It's kind of build it and they will come mentality. And we just think they're going to come. That is no longer the reality. As Dorothy once said, we are not in Kansas anymore. So that
Yeah.
model, again, let's keep doing that. Let's keep inviting people, come to church, come to Easter, come to Christmas. But let's also recognize the fact that the gospel is one of a gospel of go, not one of come.
Yeah, and so we've talked a little bit about that before, and I think about all the work and preparation and deep thought that goes into preparing a message, and then I think about its reach, right? And when it's limited to the few of the community, when it could go so much further, I often think in terms of wouldn't it be great if there was more reach, if you were to embrace that? And so you talk a little bit about that shift from a gospel of come to a gospel of go. I'd love to hear a little bit more about that.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
what does that mean for you? How do you unpack that for churches that you speak to?
Yeah, and this will apply obviously digitally as we unpack this conversation. But
Sure.
just go back from a biblical framework. When you look at the Gospels, you find there's 199 recorded ministry situations of Jesus. Out of those, 128 of them were evangelistic, meaning 66% of his recorded ministry was focused on going. And
Hmm.
in that, 72% of that 66% were actually personal conversations. So we have a biblical framework, if you will, that just basically says that we should be building everything that we do with a go context. And this is where the digital, where Switcher, where VisitorReach, ministries like ours really works. Because what you see Jesus was trying to do, he was trying to press this idea into the life of the believer, into the center of a church's mission, to go into the highways and the byways, to go into the world, right? To go find the lost coin, to go find the lost sheep. Every one of them put the responsibility upon the believer to go and engage with culture or with people. And we're finding today that that's actually why digital is so critical. What you
Yeah.
guys are doing with your services, we talked about this idea of all the time that we're trying to put into putting together a message and a service. What are we doing to market those services? Or what are we doing to expand our reach to get more people? If that is the new front door, your streaming service or a digital platform, if that is the new front door, let's shift. Instead of saying, come to Christmas, we want to say, how do we take Christmas to them, right?
Yeah.
And you know, the big thing for me, you know, Brandon, as you look at it, the gospel have come for me. We look at the last 2 decades and we see, again, 85% of churches are plateaued or declining. 12% are growing through transfer growth. We're just kind of swapping believers. Only 3% are going through conversion growth. That's alarming to me, meaning out of 360,000 churches, less than 10,000 are actually growing due to new converts, right? And that's a challenge for me, and it should be also a wake-up call for the rest of us. You know, there's another statistic that just came out that, you know, 8 years ago, 63% of pastors, they felt like they were efficient in reaching people. That's dropped to 13%. And so it isn't that this isn't a passion issue, right? This isn't a desire issue. It's not a mission issue. It's a strategy issue. It's a shifting of our philosophy. Let's go to a gospel of go, not a gospel of come. And that gospel of go happens to be the digital arena. And so it's really important for us to understand.
That really resonates with me. It's one of the reasons I think live streaming can be so powerful for churches, right? I think your Christmas service, that's the first go for a lot of folks. You're not just broadcasting a sermon. You're going to build a bridge to individuals, to families who might never have stepped inside your community otherwise. So when I think about streaming services, especially around Christmas, I mean, for many folks, many of my church customers, this is their first time that they're going to stream services, tends to be around Christmas. And, you know, as we try to help folks get ready for that moment, we're helping folks think about how to do that on Facebook, on YouTube. I would say within the last 12 months, though, when I talk with customers, we're urging more folks to just do it on the website. That way there's not competing messages of ads or other things. You want to be able to own that message a little bit more. But I also want you to go where the audience already is, where they're going to discover. And so if you actually do all those things, right, both stream to social and control that message on your website, you know, good news is for me, it makes there a lot more easy ways to find your community, let that person have that first experience, and think about stepping inside the church doors. I don't necessarily think live streaming needs to be, well, we're just going to do this and it's going to, like, I'll never see these people for real. I think in many ways, this is a way to open the door to have those folks who are in your community step inside the church for the first time. And I think it's an amazing way to get that message out there.
Yeah, that's right.
So if we go a little bit more with digital opportunities churches can take advantage of, I think the tech space for church is growing quite a bit. I think sometimes it can be hard for churches to choose what are the avenues they're going to utilize. I'd love to hear a little bit more about VisitorReach. I mean, Switcher, I think a lot of folks know we're really in the live streaming space, especially for events, sermons, teaching. But for VisitorReach, can you tell us a little bit more about the ways you help churches within that digital opportunity?
Yeah, I appreciate that, Brandon. I think that, you know, our relationship together, although it's new, I think it's very divine and perfect timing, right? There's such a complement of, you know, it's not just about getting someone to watch a service, but how do we create engagement, right? And it's such a key of what we're doing when people drop into the chat room or they're watching on a website. We know 9 out of 10 people will go to a website before they walk through the door of a church. Some pastors struggle with that, but they're going to either watch you or Stephen Furtick. Let's make it you, right? Because you're going to be the local one that could pastor the person. And so, you know, we basically do 5 things with VisitorReach. We would consider ourselves to be kind of a white glove concierge service, but Really, in a nutshell, what we are is a revolutionary AI digital outreach and follow-up strategy, front door to back door. And what we're trying to do is to connect churches with people who are new to your city, seeking a church or on a spiritual journey, using personal one-on-one conversations. And so one of the things that we would want to do is to be able to get in front of those people, that we could actually drive them to a streaming service with Switcher and with the local church, right? So we can even help on that front door. And we're trying to reach people that are most open to the gospel, people that just moved to an area, people that are actually looking for a church. We can drop a pin on a church and find out how many people in the last 30 days actually picked up their phone and said, find a church near me. Those are the people we want to target because they're the most open, right? And so we do 5 things. First thing that we really want to do, and this is, let me just say this because I'm not trying to sell something, Brandon. If it's not us, grab the concept, right?
Yeah.
And so here's some concepts that I think are important, kind of a 5-fold strategy if you're going to really jump into the digital arena. Number 1 is maximize your digital presence. Like we do that, we can help you, but if not, do it yourself, right? There's over 40 digital platforms now. Churches are on 3 to 4 of them. Voice recognition technology and maps. If I'm going to go to a Mexican restaurant, I'm picking up my phone and I'm going to ask for a Mexican restaurant near me, right? If they don't show up, I ain't eating their tacos. And so it's important to understand that with churches too, right? And so we want to start by fixing the digital footprint. People all day long are wanting to jump into your boat. Just make sure that your boat's on the lake and it's not on a trailer in the parking lot, right? The second thing that we do is customize personalized ads.
Mm-hmm.
And we're really trying to use your language, your pictures. AI helps us to build personas to attract people that are most like you in the community. And what we're trying to do is to create an interest, to get in front of them when they are thinking about church, about Jesus. And what happens, they'll see one of our ads, they give us their name, their phone number, their email. This isn't just like a like on an Instagram page. This is a white hot engagement. And as soon as they do that, what happens immediately is that they get a text on their phone. They don't need an app. They immediately get a text if that's 7 p.m. on a Thursday night. Cindy's all alone. She's texting through all of or scrolling through all of her social media. That's when Cindy wants to talk. She just isn't looking to come on Sunday. She may not even be alive on Sunday. Let's talk to Cindy when Cindy wants to talk, right? And so it comes into our app, and we have an AI Church Tech app. It is a beautiful piece of technology where there's a whole lot to say about that. I won't go too deep into it, but we want to use this platform to create one-on-one meaningful conversations. My first connection is, hey, Brandon, thanks for reaching out. This is Marc. How can I pray for you? I know your name, you know my name, and we start at a base level. And because it's focused on your need, not just, hey, come to church, we begin this engagement of journey, hopefully 12 to 15 connect points. And you can see it's pretty simple to work. And then ultimately, the 4th thing we do is VisitorTap. And so you may have heard of NFC technology, near field communication. All of us today, this is kind of our new wallet. We tap for Starbucks and to get coffee and to buy at the grocery store, to pay for gas. We want tap technology in the church. We see it to be 7 times more effective than QR codes and much safer, by the way. But so we put tap technology into the church. We've got cards and stickers and stands and loops. We have a dashboard that's going to help. And so one of the things that we wanted to do in light of this call too, Brandon, is to offer everyone on this call the opportunity to do VisitorTap with us at just $9 a month. No contract, no setup fees. We'll even give you $100 worth towards our credit towards the cards. And so you can do that just as a standalone deal, but it's something that we need to talk about and think about as churches. How do we get this technology into our churches so we can increase our giving and guest attendance and kids check-in and everything else? We got a great dashboard that helps them. Again, we don't need to go through all of that. But the back end, Brandon, is we just do ongoing coaching. This is so much today for churches, right? You just go, you already hooked a fire hose up to my lips. I'm already overwhelmed. So what we want to do is we want to put a coach right next to a church every month, give them a call, coach them, talk to them, give them resources and tools so that they can be successful in reaching people. And so one of the things, again, another thing we wanted to do, we'll jump into some other stuff here in a second, Brandon, but I wanted to just let people know that if they are interested in doing something with VisitorReach and you want to just know more, there'll be a QR code on the screen. We'll just let that hang for a moment. But we want to give people on this call $250 off of a setup fee, $2,400 off their annual agreement, and up to $600 in free tap cards. And so we're just saying we have some great technology and we really, really want to help you reach people in the season and beyond. So that's kind of what we do.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. I mean, I think you give folks a lot of fantastic tools and technology, and also like I know how important the support element there can be. That's where I've spent most of my own career, and so that's really helpful because it can give folks a path, right? When they're really looking to utilize that technology in the way they want to for their own communities. So fantastic, and I do appreciate as we set up this webinar, I appreciate you bringing some of those discounts forward. That's really helpful as we think about the folks jumping in. Let me switch gears a little bit. I'd love to start to hone in a bit on how churches can practically take advantage of some digital opportunities, not just year round. And I think, in my mind, when you think about helping a church, if we're going to play that support role for a minute, what are some of the questions that you might pose to a church to really ensure that they can take advantage of these digital opportunities? What's important for you? How do you help coach some of those churches that you work with?
That's a great thought. I just want to get really practical, and I would encourage you to to jot these down and actually pull together your team. If you're a smaller church, just your leaders or volunteers. If you have a staff, pull it together. Spend some time and answer these questions. They're really important. So the first thing I would say to every church pastor and leader is know who you are and who your message is for. I think that's the first thing we really need to be thinking about. And, that drills down by just saying something like, who's my current community? Things such as like, what are the demographics of my community or the psychographics, what are the people like within a 15-mile drive range from my church? And I think it's important because if we're going to reach unchurched people, this is what statistics tell us about where people are willing to drive from, about 15 miles. And so ask yourself about what are their hurts and what are their hangups, what are their habits, what's going on. If you're confused about that, you can ask the Holy Spirit or look at your local news station or newspaper. It tells you a whole lot about what's going on in your neighborhood. You have to understand them first before you have any chance of reaching them, right? And then when it comes to your mission, like what part of your mission resonates the most? Like if you're in a college town, it's going to be your young adults. You need to be thinking about how we can maximize that. If you're in a military town, it might be your focus on marriage and parenting and finances, right? If you're in an urban environment, there's a great chance that you need to focus on recovery ministries like Celebrate Recovery. The goal is you got to align your key passion points with their major pain points. I think it's really important. And then just ask the question, like, who are we hoping to attract, right? We got to be honest. If we can't be all things to all people. Yes, we want anybody can come, all are welcome, all can come. But the reality is you are going to attract a certain kind of person. And if that indeed is the case, let's maximize what that is. So what's the median age of your community, your faith community, your congregation? And what are the ethnicities, key ethnicities of your particular congregation? All of those things matter. It's not being that you're trying to segment or anything. Let's just recognize you'll reach people that are like you. So that'd be kind of the first thing that I could think about. Second thing would be to evaluate where your church shows up. And to be honest, where it doesn't show up, right?
Exactly. That's that being the key. Yeah.
And I say this all the time, you can't expect what you don't inspect, right? So you need data. Data matters. Intelligent information helps you to make intelligent decisions. Ask questions like, how did our members find us? Like, and those are the areas you should be focusing in on. So if you're going to invest time and money, put it in areas that are going to have a great ROI, if you will.
Hmm.
Then track, like, are they coming in on your widget on your website? Are they coming through your streaming service? I mean, with Switcher, I mean, think about that. If those people are coming in, how do we capture them? Is it a Facebook ad or a tap card or social media, new mover program, personal invite, like whatever it is, identify where they're coming from. And then I would also say, identify digital spaces where you're not at yet.
Yeah.
Like,
No, that makes so much sense. I mean, it's really interesting how you lay that out, because I find when I'm working with creators and other folks who are live streaming and they have questions about the type of content, I mean, the topics you're hitting there are really universal, because it helps the
yeah,
creator be still really genuine with their message and who they are, but also considers their audience and who they want to speak to. And I think doing a real examination of that intersection of who you are and your message and what you want to say to your community, who your community is, and how you want to connect with them via, in Switcher Studio space, the live stream. That can make all the difference between successful content in the space and content that doesn't really resonate as much.
yeah,
So as we think about, just if I jump from that point to a bit of holiday service, I really want to help a number of churches, if this is your first stream, be able to jump forward and take advantage of that. Or if you've been streaming for a while, I want to share some strategies from a switcher point of view that can be really helpful in that vein. I think it fits nicely with what you described in your digital opportunities. So if I'm going to share 3 points, I think about them really as during that live stream, you really want to have a call to action that
right,
directs viewers. And that can be either to your website or to a contact form, but involve the audience of a live stream, especially if you're doing a sermon live to your local audience, but also broadcasting. This is an area where you want to be able to speak to both audiences. And so you can direct some people to your website or to a contact form during that stream that can really help. I said this at the top, I'll say it here as well. I think streaming to social channels is really important. That's how it can be discovered. But I would also encourage streamers today to find a way to stream to their website. Of course, folks like Switcher can help with this. If you're looking to multi-stream, there are other services out there that can help you multi-stream as well. But basically every church I talk to, I want to make sure they own the content. I don't want this to be a situation where their content just lives forever on YouTube or some of the other social platforms and they don't have a chance to really own that message. I'm encouraging most folks to stream and to keep a place on their website where people can look back and have a library of content that they have ownership over. And last, we talked a little bit about this at the top. We'll do this actually with our talk today, Marc, but repurpose some of your live stream. Get the highlights, put it out there so people can find you. Those types of things really amplify the content that you're able to deliver, and more folks can really start to encounter you as we get out there. Sometimes people are reluctant to market themselves. I view this more as, look, once you have a great message, you want to be able to amplify it. And that's not something you need to guard against. That can just be something that you're looking to share with the world. And I find a lot of folks really will start to resonate with that. So as we think about that, from your perspective, I'd love to know just a little bit on how some folks have utilized your tools, your tech in the past. What kind of success have people seen with what you've been doing?
Yeah, well, I got really excited about your 3 points Listen, pastor leader, I just want to let you know that repurposing your highlights,
Yeah,
never be shy, embarrassed, or pull away from promoting your streaming service. It is your new
absolutely.
store. And so and it doesn't even cost money. Take those, put them together. I called a share package, get it to your people and let them be your digital evangelists where they're posting that on all of their services. Every week you should get your people excited to drive people to your streaming services. It's a great connect point, and especially if you have contact forms, the next step is to get them in. You're not trying to replace Sunday morning, you're just trying to use it as an entry point. Use that as an opportunity. But what we found, Brandon, with some of the other technology and things that have really worked for us. Number one is, let me just say this, texting is the single most effective way to communicate with people.
Yeah,
I mentioned we're from 4.5 billion texts today. Here's what we found through the millions of texting bits that we're seeing on our back end. 92% of people will respond to you if you text them within 10 minutes of them responding to you. It's because that's when they want to talk. So we're not trying to send some stale email or some kind of thing to invite them to Sunday. Engage with them right now. If they're on the streaming service chatting and you can get a contact information, have a strategy to text them immediately. That's going to show that you saw them, that they care. We also found 93% of people will share their deepest hurts and wounds with a stranger and only 13% face to face. Like this is an incredible opportunity. So I would say, first of all, maximize your texting. It's one-on-one, it's personal, it's two-way. Second thing, I think we got to make things that are nurture and care oriented. People just don't want an invitation to church. They're hurting, they're broken, they're desperate, they're lonely, they're suicidal, they're depressed, they're fearful, they're anxious, right? And so start your texting conversations with, how can I pray for you? Instead of, hey, can you come on Sunday? You'll get there eventually, but start recognizing that the person's a real person and you want to reach them one-on-one. And so we've tried to do this, and I think it'll jump up on the screen. I think it's important for a church to sit down and build a nurture point strategy, from the immediate point of engagement to being with someone, to assimilating, to follow up. Think through each of those stages of what you're going to text, who's going to text it. Again, our platform allows all of this to be automated. We actually have a 15-month strategy for local churches. We saw a guy once, 56 texts in 10 months before he responded once. And he finally responded, said, hey, you've reached out to me more than all Christians combined. And ultimately that guy came to church, gave his life to Christ, And then I just want to say, mobilize tap cards. Like I'm just going to hold this up. Like, this is one of the most significant evangelistic tools in modern history. Imagine if every person in your church had one of these in their wallet, in their purse, and you got to direct content weekly. Christmas is coming up. It's going to tell about services. It's going to talk about locations. And so someone says, hey, where do you go to church? You go, hey, tap here. And your dashboard allows you to direct information real time. You can change it for Easter, and you can change it for Mother's Day. And so you have an army of people out there with a digital tool that can begin to evangelize. And so those are some things that I think we should be thinking about when it comes to digital tools in this season and how we can help churches reach more people.
Really helpful, Marc. I think everything you're saying there. I think it's great stuff for churches who are trying to be successful both off and online. So thank you so much for talking us through. Before we look to break here, I do want to stop for a few questions, just for folks coming in who have been listening in. So let me roll down to where we've got a couple of questions. So the first one I'll call out is one we get a lot. How do you make your live stream more engaging than just one-way video? And I think a lot of folks who do live streaming, this is one we see come through. I'll jump in and Marc, I'd love your view as well. I did mention a little bit of live interaction, right? If you have somebody from your team watching who can respond to things in chat, that can be really helpful. Additionally, if you can speak to both audiences, the audience that's there physically and the audience that's watching online, that can be a good engaging event. I'd also note using multiple camera angles can bring folks a bit into the show more than they might have if you just have one specific shot. I know that can be a little bit more advanced, but honestly, once you try linking a few cameras together, really with just a day of practice, that's the type of thing that can really enhance a show. But the goal here, I view, is to turn that broadcast into a shared experience. I don't know, Marc, if you have any thoughts on making a live stream or the like more engaging.
Yeah, first of all, break the plexiglass separation between your audience and your stage. If you're a pastor or a leader, talk to the people. It will not only inspire your congregation to invite people more to a streaming service, but it makes that person seen. Ask questions. Hey, today, how many of you today, if you need prayer, put it in the chat right now. Like, make statements like that. Engage your audience, right? You might even go as far as, if there's things coming in, you could have someone even text you some of the prayer requests. Hey, Cindy's on the call right now, and she's actually asking or saying this, and just try to create some kind of two-way engagement. So that'd be one way from the platform. I would put your best pastoral people in the chat room. Again, I understand you don't want to distract them from the message, but because it is so talking head, ask questions. Hey, what did you think about this last point that Pastor Tom just spoke? Hey, how does this apply to you? If you don't ask questions, they may not engage. And so we're looking for ways to proactively engage by asking questions. And ultimately, they're going to respond immediately. And so that would be another huge thing that we can do. How are we proactive? And then ultimately put in links. So if small groups, hey, that's so great. He just talked about small groups. Hey, click on this link right now to sign up. And so have your go-to links, your giving, your groups, your next steps, your Christmas service, and so that you're constantly thinking about how to do that. And last and most important, get them to engage. Say, hey, I would love to connect with you further. Click on this connect form. How can I pray for you? Would love to take a phone call. Show that you really care for those people. So those would be some things that work for us. We did this for almost 20 years.
I think those are outstanding suggestions. Fantastic. All right. I think we have time for one more. I'll go from one question from Facebook. How do you make sure the guest feature works flawlessly all the time? This can be a tough one. I would say here, what I'd mention as we set up on the switcher side, almost all this comes from preparation. So the thing we find probably the most helpful is testing ahead of time. Marc, you and I did a call last week. We test drove this feature. We got on a little early. A lot of what ends up happening can be challenging for folks can be internet speed. So I'd encourage you to evaluate that as you're getting ready to do some streaming and do a little extra planning around the run of show. So quick bullet points of what you're looking to cover. If you have it, I just want to do a quick shout out. We have Katie is producing today's live stream. So she's been in the background kind of helping Marc and I out as we've gone through today. So that also can be a great help as you're setting up or preparing for any live stream or guest interview that you end up doing. But if you've got more questions, I encourage you to check out our help center, send in a quick ticket. I'm happy to help where I can. And San, I'll ask our support team. We can reach out to you if you have specific questions. We'll definitely follow up. Okay, so I think I'm going to close us out here. This has been really exciting, Marc, and I think really informational for a lot of the folks who are out there. I think we talked about the world searching and the church having the message that we need to get out there. I'm hoping together our two organizations can really help those folks in the Christmas season and beyond. In my view, I think Switcher, VisitorReach, were really helping open that front door and helping people walk through it in a way that hasn't been done before. So anything you want to add, Marc, before we close out?
Yeah, just keep that number in mind. 160 million people will be looking for a church. I hope they find yours. And so it's worth the time and energy to sit down and prayerfully consider, our conversation today more than just a webinar, and to really see what you can do to reach more people. We're going to be praying for you. We're so grateful for you and excited to see what God's going to do in your churches in this next season.
Thank you so much, Marc. I do want to mention as we close here, for anyone, today we talked about VisitorReach and their offer. I encourage everybody to check them out. So please, you can use this promo code to reach out and see some of the fantastic services and technology brought to you here from VisitorReach. I also want to call out, for Switcher, if anybody is new to Switcher, or if you're interested in jumping on this plan, if you're an existing customer, we are offering free trial right now. But we also have a seasonal plan that allows you to save $10 off each month when you start with our seasonal plan. So this plan is really intended to give you everything that you need to get started for the Christmas season. And it includes free live onboarding support for folks who sign up. You can jump onto this promotion just by going to switcherstudio.com/webinars. This has been the first of Switcher's webinar series. We'll have some additional broadcasts on November 20 for year-end giving, and on December 4th for extending your holiday content even further. And so we're hoping you all will join us again for those conversations. Let me just say one more quick thank you to Marc. I've really enjoyed our conversation today. I hope you all have a wonderful holiday season, and we hope to see you next time.
Yeah,
Thanks,
God bless you guys. Thanks again.
Take care.